here, but you'll hear some of his voices singing.
I turned it up.
All right.
Now better?
Yes, fine.
Say that again.
Ronnie, where are you
Yes,
going?
I'm Phil Becker.
I can't go no place
else.
else.
I wrote 22 songs here with the help of my lovely wife, Jacqueline, and my brother, Jeffrey. And
Be quiet.
if you read the playbill, you get a sense of that this has been a family project. And Marilyn Monroe, Jeff,
She gonna block if she
please
sits
shut
down.
off your cell phone.
They didn't have cell phones in 1962.
We are,
Not in 62.
well, the singers will try to sing into mics and talk into mics. We have limited facilities. All right. Quiet, please.
Quiet!
Our play will begin momentarily, and in the end, we will, if you're still around, we can talk about with the actors about what they're doing and what fun we're having with this. It's not going to be perfect. Some of the material is in progress, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
In 1962, you had just turned red. We got satellite TV and John Glenn, JFK, museum bedrooms, then to war rooms, from the state of affairs to affairs of state. Who saved the world while getting laid?
In his brief time as president, John F. Kennedy dealt with more than his share of crises, but none more explosive than the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, an event that could have ended the world. This all happened in part because Edward Teller was the father of the hydrogen bomb, and since the Cuban Missile Crisis was brought to you by the hydrogen bomb, here is Edward Teller in person to explain just how that bomb worked. Ladies and gentlemen, Edward Teller. That's all.
When you mix a little bit of lithium-6 and hydrogen-2, use lithium deuteride to make tritium in situ. Find a cylinder plutonium-239 to place inside of your deuteride and form a thick foam cylindrical plastic shell outside. The radiatively exploding X-rays compress the plastic to detonate and detonate the second stage when you mix a little bit of lithium-6. When you mix a little bit of lithium-6. observe a manifold extension of explosive energy. We're talking 1,000 times larger than anything you've ever seen when you mix a little bit of lithium-6. When you mix a little bit of lithium-6. Oh, just a little bit of lithium-6. Just a little bit of lithium-6. Just a little bit of lithium-6.
President Kennedy's whole life was like a death-defying Houdini act. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was read his last rites on 3 occasions. He had 30-something hospitalizations, including multiple failed operations, and his medical history didn't even include World War II, when a Japanese destroyer cut his PT-109 in half, almost killing JFK and his crew. No wonder why JFK lived his life so fully. Any day might have been his last day on Earth.
Almost died 4 or 5 times before I was 25. Priest said the last rites for me. I know that my disease surely is killing me. So why let it go by, or take it in stride, or keeping it all inside? Hell no, go live your life. You can do what is right. You can do what is right tonight. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth. I found a line to reflect the truth. We are light on time, truth, yours and mine. How we've shined half as long but twice as bright. Why let it go by, or take it in stride, just keeping it all inside? Hell no, go live your life, go do what is right, at least what is right tonight. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight might be your last night here on earth, here on earth.
During the Cuban Missile Crisis, at the roads of his presidency, JFK proved great in affairs of state. And as far as the state of affairs, well, let me tell you about them. In case you haven't already figured it out, I'm Marilyn Monroe, a central figure in this story. Before we get into the juicy parts, or more descriptively, my juicy parts, here's a bit about JFK's affairs of state.
I'm tired of looking weak to Khrushchev. The Russians sent a man into space while our rockets blow up on the launch pads. For the whole world to see. Lyndon.
A warm White House welcome for Lyndon Baines Johnson. He's JFK's vice president and an expert on congressional legislation and outer space exploration.
Lyndon, how can we beat the Russians into outer space?
Maybe we can beat them to the moon.
Tell me more.
limit to what we can achieve. We'll be first ones to the moon. The path is clear and the time is soon. America will be first to the moon. There's a new frontier to explore. We'll do it while we win this Cold War. We'll be second to none. We know how to get the job done. America will be second to none. Everything is new in a new frontier. Everything is just more clear out here. Over the horizon, like it was before. Everyone in, make for that far shore. There's a new frontier to explore. Do it while we win this Cold War. We'll be second to none. We know how to get the job done. America will be second to none. Over the horizon, this will be the one. America will be second to none.
The White House pool is warm to soothe JFK's aching back, and something else is going on in the pool as well. Something hot.
Mr. President, we have a situation.
Can't you see I'm busy?
But Mr. President,
What national catastrophe is it now? A new steel price hike? Civil rights? Do I have to phone Martin Luther King's wife to help him get out of jail again?
no, sir.
What national catastrophe? All right, so why can't we just consider me busy?
I see, sir, but
Have we some great international crisis? What ridiculousness is Khrushchev up to now? Something in Cuba? Oh God, not Berlin again.
it's worse, Mr. President. Mrs. Kennedy is coming down the hall. She's on her way here to the swimming pool.
Mayday! Mayday! Abandon ship! Abandon ship!
Joining our festivities now is actor and socialite. He's also a friend of mine, Peter Lawford. He is, in the words of Frank Sinatra, the brother in Lawford of JFK.
Listen, Peter. J. Edgar Hoover is giving me a hard time over JFK's affair with Judith Campbell. In case you didn't know, that woman who Sinatra introduced him to also happens to be sleeping with that mobster Sam Giancana. Please tell Frank Sinatra that the president will be staying at Bing Crosby's instead from the 24th to the 26th.
Oh, great. Frank will just love to hear that the president will be staying at a Republican's house.
Well, you can blame it on the Secret Service. Crosby's place is better suited.
Frank really may kill me, Bobby. He's put in extra phone lines, telexes, a teleport, and even stuck in a flagpole just like the one in the Hyannis.
Nobody asked Mrs. Sinatra to stick anything in anywhere, Peter!
Frank was counting on this place becoming the West Coast White House.
Look, Peter, JFK cannot sleep in the house of a man who played host to hoodlums. You know that!
So, despite my objections and Frank's disappointment and anger, RFK moved JFK to Bing Crosby's estate. As a result, everyone got screwed here. Frank got screwed royally out of his California White House. I got screwed. Sinatra barely ever spoke to me again. The bastard even replaced me in his next Rat Pack film. with Bing Crosby, no less. And the final screwing of this episode between the President and Marilyn Monroe took place at the Crosby's estate. Please silence your phones. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum.
In a twist of fate, all right, the president and I had our night, we played our comedy. All right, it was bittersweet, bittersweet. Tristan, oh Tristan, the night away. In the blink of an eye, in the shape of my heart, in the time of my life, in the world apart. We're Tristan, oh Tristan, the night away. We're Tristan, oh Tristan, the night away. Tristan, oh Tristan, the night away.
That was great. Yay.
So, how do things go with the President?
I'm going to marry him.
You're going to what? You can't, Marilyn. He's already married.
Where is dear Jackie, by the way? She seems to be missing in action. Really? I live in Norman G.
President will never get divorced.
Really? I, Norma Jean Baker, have spent the last 10 years making successful movies for 20th Century Fox. And what has Jackie ever done besides work and an $11 a day job as the inquiring photographer, interviewing men on the street, asking them, so what would you do on a date with Marilyn Monroe?
What has she ever done? She married John Fitzgerald Kennedy. She is the First Lady. She is a Bouvier. She is the mother of his children. She was also very well educated. She had very good taste in fashion.
I'm hot, Phil.
Did I mention that I was in Ocean's 11?
I'm still hot, Phil. I'm hot, it's my spot, and we know that some like it hot. I am 30, bubbly, sassy, fun. We all know that certain gentlemen always prefer blondes. I do for him what Viagra will do for you men. My movie Niagara, seen it, see it again. I'm hot, you're not. You're cold, you're distant, you're in Virginia. A debutante, an aristocrat, a brunette who's nothing but etiquette. The president is a prince and I am a showgirl. He will be mine and will tell the whole world. It's 6 years plus footers counting. He's got the 7-year itch, and I know how to marry really rich. Take your best shot. Something's got to give. I won't wait. This is my bust up. I know we're just a couple of misfits put together or whatever. An icon and 11 to live. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Together an icon, a legend will live. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Mr. President, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. Mr. President, the late Marilyn Monroe.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
I can now retire from politics after having Happy Birthday sung to me in such a sweet and wholesome way.
I am fun. I'm number one.
She is crass, has no class.
I know how sex rules the heart, not the head in the bed.
I know the rules by heart in my head, in my bed. Something's gotta give.
Mr. President, I am hot and trot and I give a lot.
Jack, Jackie, John, I'm of French descent, well-bred.
Hollywood and pop culture, 10 box office breaking movies.
Private school, real culture, former debutante with a degree.
Superstar, the Marilyn Monroe, a diva.
From Vassar, Jacqueline Lee Bouvier.
I will not wait in limbo.
First lady, not a bimbo.
Something's gotta give. Voulez-vous coucher à mes bras ce soir? Si, I know French too.
JFK was going to have to decide soon, right, Marilyn?
Yes. Did he want Jackie, who got foreplay tips from a sex doctor to try and keep Jack monogamous? Or did JFK want to discover her and marry me? Divorce her, rather? Oh, he should have divorced her and married me. The sex goddess of the 20th century. Oh, decisions, decisions.
Jack, whose panties are these?
So that's where I left them.
Aren't they yours?
Not even close to my size. Are these panties Marilyn Monroe's? Really, Jack? Marilyn Monroe in the Lincoln bedroom?
Mr. President, we both know your wife can't take care of you like I can. She is a nice princess in matters of the flesh. Sure, she could decorate the White House in 18th century finery and dress like Cinderella going to the ball. She is also capable of selling that Camelot legend to the American public. But you and I know that can only go so far.
Jackie, marriages are a give and take. When you wear $30,000 ball gowns and very expensive designer jewelry, clothes, and I get an earful from the press.
What do you expect, Jack? I am the most visible patron of the arts. I need to wear the designer name.
But there is resentment in the land. Some Americans see your extravagances as over the top and not becoming of your role as First Lady. What's more, do you remember your fiasco with Khrushchev that time you met him in Vienna? You tried to talk Tolstoy with him, and all he wanted to do was debate you about Russian GNP like he did with Nixon during the kitchen debate. Talk about being tone deaf, Jack.
Now, if you had chosen me, Mr. President, think how different things might have been. I met Khrushchev in 1959 and charmed the pants off him. I didn't know who he was, but when the studio informed me that in Russia, America meant two things, Coca-Cola and Marilyn Monroe. So I wanted to meet him too. When the big day came, my studio wanted me to wear my tightest and sexiest little black dress.
You are a beautiful young lady.
I turned on the Marilyn Monroe act, and all wide-eyed and gushy, I delivered a line that Natalie Wood, who was fluent in Russian, taught me to say, "We, the workers of the 20th Century Fox, rejoice that you have come to visit our studio and country." It worked like magic. Khrushchev couldn't take his eyes off me. I think it was my Russian, but one can't rule out the distinct possibility that he just couldn't take his eyes off my boobs. Who says I couldn't have learned the role of First Lady? Just give me a script. Who says I couldn't have been a more popular First Lady? I am a way better actress than Jackie, unless that is if she's faking an orgasm. Mr. President, not divorcing her and marrying me was the worst mistake you'll ever make. When will this charade end? JFK loves me. He's going to divorce you, Jackie, and marry me. And I'll move into the White House.
Yes, Jack will surely divorce me and marry you, and then you'll move into the White House. Marilyn, and why don't you tell me your chest size so when you move in I can have a custom-made straitjacket ready for you?
Well, in June 1962, Mimi Beardsley came, a White House intern, and the 19-year-old intern, yes, JFK's Monica, replaced me as JFK's lover. Here's how it happened. On her fourth day on the job, Dave Power, the first friend, invited her to swim in the White House pool.
Mind if I join you?
Oh, of course not, Mr. President.
You look familiar. Have we met before?
As a matter of fact, we have, Mr. President. I came to the White House last year to interview Mrs. Kennedy. I was the editor of the school newspaper at Miss Porter's.
Her prep school?
Yes. And Mrs. Kennedy's social secretary, Tish Baldridge, also an alum from Miss Porter's, introduced us at the time.
It's Mimi, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. President.
And you're going to be in the press office this summer. Is that right?
Yes, again, Mr. President.
Well, nice to see you, Mimi. I look forward to seeing more of you.
And a few hours later, Dave Powell invited Mimi upstairs for a welcome to the staff get-together.
Would you like a private tour of the residence, Mimi? This is Mrs. Kennedy's bedroom. This is a very private room. Haven't you done this before, dear? Well, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?
Yes, Mr. President. I'll do anything you want. Well, if JFK asked you to serve your country, and you were 19 and a virgin, wouldn't you be honest with yourself? I was young and inexperienced, and he was handsome and charismatic, and the president. I was safer sex than Marilyn Monroe could ever be, and I was available on call in the White House. So, all that summer of 1962, I would swim with the president and then wait for the call to join him upstairs in the residence quarters. And these booty calls were almost a daily occurrence, since Mrs. Kennedy and the children were away from home vacationing for most of the summer months. At 19, my heart was pure. The president chose me, what a lore. And I would be whatever he needed me to be. I must be the luckiest girl in the world. The most powerful man in the world wanted me. So far as I can see, I'll be whatever he needs me to be, 'cause the luckiest girl in the world is me. So far as I can see, I'll be whatever he needs me to be, 'cause the luckiest girl in the world will be whatever he needed me to be, whatever he needed me to be, whatever he needed me to be, whatever he needed me to be.
Who's the new girl?
Who's the new girl? Who's the new girl?
I am the new girl in town. Wanted to know who brought me to town, who bought me this gown, introduced me around to turn your world upside down. Maybe I'm in over my head and this society's dead. Who ended up in Lincoln's bed? I am the new girl in town. I'm a lot like you, I just came for an interview. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? I make you feel young today, make today a holiday. You're so yesterday, no bills to pay, no children in the way. I'm here to stay, so let it play, let it play. I am the new girl in town. I am the new girl in town. I am the new girl in town. I am the new girl in town.
Jack, I know you almost died a million times in your life, and that is why you live on the edge and proudly live every day as if it's your last. But if the country connects the dots about your affair with Marilyn Monroe, or any of your other bimbos, I will be personally humiliated, and that would be a disaster for your presidency. Do you really want to risk that? I have to ask, Jack, from your affairs to your foreign policy, is your true Kennedy nature really that reckless? Why are you so reckless? Or could you disagree? Does it have to be so obvious when you do these things to me? How could you be so selfish? What didn't I ever do for you? Can you tell me now, or can't you? Is it just not in you to be true? Is it just about the power that you hold over me? so careless. When you're dallying with stars, are you reckless in your judgment? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Oh, who do you think you are? Dumb blonde was I, but urban legends prove hard to die. I was typecast as your basic dumb blonde. In Tinseltown I played that part with a magic wand. Easy to see how I was troubled but done for real in matters of my heart. I was an actor playing a role, but now I must take my leave. I leave it for you, dear audience, to decide. Is it for real? Or is it just for make-believe? Dumb blonde for real, or dumb blonde for make-believe? Dumb blonde for real, or dumb blonde for make-believe? Dumb blonde for real, or dumb blonde for make-believe?
Father, how can you tell the Americans that we are turning out nuclear missiles like sausages? When I know for a fact, as an engineer myself, that we only have 2 or 3 of them.
The Americans are stupid and more gullible than you give them credit for, Sergey. In the 1960 presidential election, when Kennedy ran against Nixon, didn't he say the U.S. was behind the Soviet Union in a so-called missile gap?
Yes, I remember, but what about your other little problem?
What other little problem?
Our missiles can't reach Washington from Russia.
Son, I want you to look through these binoculars. What do you see?
I see a woman sleeping in the 3rd row. I mean, I see a beautiful view of the Black Sea.
Well, I see American nuclear missiles aimed at my Dhaka. The missiles are based in Turkey, 5 minutes away, right across the water, about to destroy my villa. But I intend to give the Americans a taste of their own medicine. Mother Russia is ascending. Recently, we launched the Sputnik satellite and put the first man in space, our cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin. The United States, and particularly President Kennedy, are in decline. JFK was indecisive at the Bay of Pigs. I bullied him at our meeting last year in Vienna. We must strike while the Iron Curtain is hot. I am going to secretly put nuclear missiles in Cuba that can reach Washington, D.C. And I am going to announce an alliance with Fidel Castro's Cuba. Right before the 1962 American midterm elections.
Well, why don't we sing about that?
Great.
We are the new game in town. That's right, the Soviet Union. We come to town. We don't mess around. Get me turned all around. Get the world upside down. Maybe we're in over our heads, but no matter how it ends, whatever the Icelandic said, we are the new game in town. We're a lot like you, and we like the Caribbean too. Communism is the way to neutralize imperial sway. You're so yesterday, you're in decay. You know you're in a way, it's underway. Come what may, come what may. We are the new game in town. 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 We are going to have President Kennedy right where we want him. Tied to the railroad tracks. When a nuclear locomotive is coming.
Father, isn't that a bit risky?
Let me tell you a story about a man who had to move in with his goat after falling on hard times. Although he didn't like the smell, he eventually became accustomed to it. Russia has been living with a goat. The NATO countries like Turkey, Greece, Spain, for a long time. And now America will have to get used to its own goat, Cuba.
If your daring Cuba gabble works, you will be hailed as the greatest communist since Karl Marx. But if it backfires, it could mean World War III. And then comes your next little problem.
Which is?
That you too are tied to the railroad tracks with President Kennedy. Now play dramatic music.
While Mimi felt like the luckiest girl in the world, I felt like the unluckiest. My world was crashing down. I was missing for 4 days at a time from the set of my latest movie, ironically called Something's Gotta Give. I was 36 years old, and my movie career was in jeopardy. Dear Bobby Kennedy came out to Hollywood to inform me that my affair with JFK was over, and he helped smooth things out with my studio. I had made hit after hit for them for 10 years, but the bastards had unceremoniously canned me. I think I lost my eerie Bobby. Have you seen it?
Why don't we go and retrace your steps together?
This time, I think the last time I remember seeing it, I was in the master bedroom.
Good, let's go over there and find it. Say, Peter, will you help us out? Can you search the other wing of the house and check the driveway? Keep a close eye on the driveway, actually.
Yeah. We now go to the night of August 5th, 1962.
Peter, it's very late, and I've had a lot to drink already tonight. Peter, I'm out. I'm really out here. Really, I mean, I'm emotionally dead anyway. I'll just take a lot of sleeping pills. Please tell your wife Pat goodbye for me. Now, Peter, say goodbye, Norma Jean.
Again, Marilyn, look, just get some rest. You'll get over this, and you'll be fine in the morning.
Sadly, Peter didn't take my cry for help or suicide threat seriously. And then, well, it was too late.
Mr. President, these U-2 photos taken over Cuba show conclusively the existence of Russian nuclear missiles just 90 miles from Florida.
Celebrated Air Force General Curtis LeMay saw this Cuban Missile Crisis as the perfect opportunity to bomb the commies all to hell.
Love you, you too. There's just nothing you can do for me to make all those bleeding hearts see what those atheists and communists intend to do with the land of the free. I love you, you too. There's just no satellite that can do what you do. Vanguard of our national security through and through. Oh, I love you, you too. I love you, you too. Slender and beautiful, you fly so true. Higher than the tallest mountain, higher than the others do. I love you, you too. Oh, I love you, you too. Mr. President, we must bomb those missile sites now. This crazy idea of yours of a naval blockade of Cuba would seem weak to the American people. Why, a blockade is almost as bad as appeasement at Munich.
Now let me get this straight, General. You are proposing instead an all-out air attack on those missiles in Cuba, followed by an actual invasion of Cuba?
Correct, Mr. President.
You think that the Russians will take the loss of thousands of their soldiers, not to mention all of those nuclear weapons, and do nothing?
That is correct, sir. They will not do a thing. They know they would lose a nuclear war to overwhelming American superiority.
And if you're wrong, General, if you've miscalculated, and if Khrushchev responds to our wiping out those missiles and killing the thousands of Russians manning those missiles with an all-out nuclear war on the United States, and if I, as the President, have to answer for at least 80 million Americans dead, what then, General? What then?
Tell them, Mr. President, that sometimes the shit hits the fan.
Bobbies, if we let the General LeMays of the world steamroll me into invading Cuba, Khrushchev will retaliate with nuclear weapons, and then we have to respond in kind.
That's unthinkable.
Bobby, we gotta cool things down before the world blows up. Maybe this blockade quarantine thing might buy Khrushchev and us some time till cooler heads prevail.
The rest of the generals won't give their honest opinions with you there. Why don't you go on campaigning in Chicago and leave things to me to work things out with the generals?
When I need help, Bobby, I can always depend on you.
You bet, brother. If we ever hear walls closing in, as we surely would if we would ever listen. If we ever see giant tidal waves sweeping, crashing down across the landscape, we take advantage while we can. We take it all for granted since it all began. Time to make ourselves a new and better plan while we can. While we can. If we ever fear the roof caving in, as we surely would if we would ever pay attention. If we ever hear the mockwai stem sing, well past time to say that this is really happening. We take advantage while we can. We take it all for granted since it all began. Time to make ourselves a new and better plan while we can. 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 While we can.
Those lying bastards! Ambassador Dobrynin told me there were no Russian missiles in Cuba, and Foreign Minister Gromyko denied there were any missiles in Cuba that could reach Washington, D.C.
And we've only got that loser Stevenson on TV at the UN to confront the Russians.
What's up with these weapons you're storing? You say these missiles don't exist, even though we know they all would miss. We have evidence that you can be trusted. You're caught red-handed, and you are so busted. So don't wait for the translation. Don't wait for the translation, yes or no. Yes or no? I'm prepared to wait until hell freezes over, just for you to tell us the truth. I came here today with photographic evidence, and I'm prepared to show it in this room. I'm prepared to wait until hell freezes over. I'm prepared to wait until hell freezes over. I'm prepared to wait until hell freezes over, just for you to tell us the truth. Just for you to tell us the truth.
I'll wait till hell freezes over. That Stevenson really grew some balls! JFK, an invasion is out. There's not enough time and logistics to make things happen. Bombing the sites is out too. Pick up the phone, brother. The military cannot guarantee we can get all of them. I didn't want to reverse Pearl Harbor on our hands anyway. The quarantine is on then.
Mr. President, the late Marilyn Monroe.
Wake up, Jack, you know your life is in your hands. Don't let it go, the worst mistake you'll ever make. Always remember to hold on to what's at stake. This one small planet we all share. How we all breathe the same air. All of this world was mine, but all I am is yours. No matter what you say, no matter where I go, I'll always just be the lady Marilyn. No matter what you say, no matter where I go, I'll always just be the lady Marilyn Monroe. Just one small step, it's up to you. Make your best move, the world will follow you. Just one more step, it's up to you. You make your best move, the world will follow you. No matter what you say, no matter where I go, I'll always just be the late Marilyn. No matter what you say, no matter where you go, I'll always just be the late Marilyn. No matter what you say, no matter who you know, I'll always just be the late Marilyn. No matter what you say, no matter where you go, I'll always just be the late Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, the late Marilyn Monroe, the late Marilyn Monroe. Oh, the late Marilyn Monroe, the late Marilyn Monroe. October 22nd, 1962, President Kennedy, in a nationwide televised address on all major networks, announces that Russian missiles have been discovered in Cuba.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union. We shall call upon the U.S. Navy to enact a strategic quarantine of Cuba. A blockade permitted to call a spade will stop and search all inbound ships and all offensive weapons turned away.
The Americans have blinked.
What do you mean, Premier Khrushchev?
The Americans have shown weakness by overreacting. It seems that Kennedy went to sleep with a wooden knife.
What do you mean, wooden knife?
They say that when someone goes bear hunting for the first time, he takes a wooden knife with him, so it's easier to clean the mess in his pants.
Dave, get Mimi here this weekend. I want her at the White House, night and day. And if I'm gonna die, I want to die with a smile on my face.
We interrupt your normal programming to bring you this test of the emergency broadcast system. This is just a test. In case the United States comes under attack, please take all precautions necessary. Everybody, duck and cover under your seats. I'm waiting. I don't see ducking. I see you out there. I see you out there, duck. That's better. This has only been a test. Should there be a nuclear attack, the duck and cover move can be your friend. I repeat, should there be a nuclear attack, the duck and cover move can be your friend. This has been a test of the emergency broadcast system. This has been a test of the emergency broadcast system.
That hair treatment feels good. It really relaxes me before these press conferences. I tell Jackie that everybody is wild about her bouffant hairstyle, but she insists that everybody is wild over my hair. Say, Mimi, why don't you come around here and rock and roll with your elders?
I don't think there's enough time before the press conference.
Okay, so how about a quickie? Mimi, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Mimi, do you want to come behind the Oval Office desk to duck and cover for me? Come here, Mimi. Got a favor to ask you. Now you mind going down, getting under my desk now. Mimi, really, really need you now. Duck and cover for me.
Mr. President, I readily consent. I'll be circumspect, no one need have a view. But the country needs you stable, so I'll get under the table. Yes, sir, I'll duck and cover for you.
Don't worry, Mimi. I'll let you know when it's safe to cover. It's already down below, all waiting for you to discover.
Mr. President, I'll give this 500%. I know how much you need your attention, please. But I smile when I think of how neat it would be when you've been ducked and covered by me.
Oh yeah, Mimi, the way you duck and cover this don't change what we found in one another. This missile's gonna launch the way you duck and cover. Everybody needs you now to duck and cover. Everybody needs you now to duck and cover. Everybody needs you now to duck and cover for me.
Listen, Jack, if it comes to the end of the world, the children and I want to be there with you. I want to be with you. I'll be on the front lawn with you, facing the end courageously.
You will be safer in Virginia than here. For the sake of the children, please, just stay put.
Mr. President, those dark circles under your eyes are awful. I'm grateful you had Dave Powers bring me down here from college to comfort you now.
And I am touched that you wanted to join me here in this dangerous time and place. Mimi, have you heard the joke going around school all over America now? It's not what do you want to be when you grow up, but what do you want to be if you grow up? Mimi, do you want children of your own someday? I dearly wish that for you, in a fatherly way. I will do anything so that children and grandchildren of this world will have a chance to live out their lives to the fullest. You're young, Mimi. You've got a long life ahead of you.
Mr. President, you're not so old yourself. You've got a long life ahead of you, too.
my children, John, and Caroline. And I want to see their lives full till the end of their time. They're young and I want to see them gracefully age. Certainly not to become pawns in a nuclear exchange. Freedom gives a choice how we rise or fall. But better dead than red leaves no choice at all. Seems this quarantine shows what we're about. Seems this blockade is our strategic way out. I want a second term. I want to save the young. I want to see it through and change the world before it's done. Freedom, here we make our choice, how we rise or fall. But better dead than red leaves no choice at all. Leaves no choice at all. Here we make our choice, how we rise or fall. But better dead than red leaves no choice at all. Leaves no choice at all. Leaves no choice at all. Leaves no choice at all.
JFK, what about U-2 flight path straight over Russian territory? Russians have shot down another of our U-2s over Cuba and killed the pilot.
What else could go wrong?
American ships near Cuba are trying to force Russian submarines that are armed with nuclear missiles to the surface.
That's all we need. Nuclear war is going to break out because some poor, dumb bastard submarine captain didn't get the message.
And LeMay wants an attack on the Cuban missile sites by Monday if the Russians don't agree to our terms. Why don't we ignore the second letter and just answer the first letter? Let me draft a response to Ted Sorensen. I'll take it to the Russian ambassador.
What if the Russians insist on the Turkey for Cuba trade in writing?
I'll tell them we'll pull the missiles out of Turkey in 4 or 5 months, but we can't put it in writing. I'll tell the ambassador that time is short. I'll say that if we don't get an answer soon, LeMay is ready to start bombing tomorrow.
God, Dave, the way you're eating up all that chicken and drinking all of my wine, anybody would think this was your last supper.
Well, the way Bobby's been talking, I thought it was. If I'm gonna die, I want to die on a full stomach.
So if this is your last supper, then eat dessert first. Why don't we go watch a movie in the screening room? It might calm us down.
What do you want to watch?
Put on Roman Holiday, Dave. Have I told you about my affair with the star of that movie, Audrey Hepburn?
Not recently, Mr. President.
Yes, he did.
What's that?
So time to start allows us to reflect. See the darkness in your eyes.
But looking on the bright side, I'll never go up a dress size.
You are my last night on earth, lover. We have run out of time for any
enough for the Russians and the missiles. It's simply unthinkable. Then and now.
If we think this is common sense, questions of consequence, better think again. We better think again. If we think we're unbreakable, think this world ain't unmakeable, we better think again. We better think again. We are in a completely new situation that cannot be resolved by war. Just the slightest wrong interpretation, and then no one would ever know what all this trouble was for. Oh, unthinkable. Oh, unthinkable. Oh,
Then, suddenly and poignantly, the Cuban Missile Crisis came to a climax.
I feel like celebrating tonight. Maybe go out someplace like Ford's Theater.
I have chosen this time and place to discuss a topic on which ignorance abounds and the truth too rarely perceived. And this is the most important topic on earth: peace. What kind of peace do I mean? What kind of peace do we see? Not a Pax Americana, not the security of a slave, not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. What kind of peace do I mean? What kind of peace do we see? Not just peace for Americans, find our peace. In all time, peace in all time, peace in all time, peace in all time, peace in all time.
Soon after the Cuban Missile Crisis, President Kennedy perhaps had a premonition about his assassination. He attended a lecture in the White House by Professor Donald, not the Donald, but David Herbert Donald, Pulitzer Prize-winning Lincoln biographer and Civil War expert. JFK asked,
Professor Donald, do you think if Lincoln had lived, would his reputation have been as great as it is currently in the United States?
Probably not. He would have had to have wrestled with the problems of Reconstruction in the post-Civil War era.
Well, given my Cuban Missile Crisis success, if anyone is going to kill me, it should happen now.
So now, who was JFK?
JFK was my last night on Earth lover.
JFK was a man like any man. He told the British Prime Minister, Harold Macmillan, he would get migraines if he didn't get a piece of ass every day. Not divorcing you and marrying me was...
I know. The worst mistake he ever made.
Well...
Not again, Marilyn.
Well, how about this? And I got on a legend will live forever.
Well, Marilyn, I found an even better way for the JFK legend to live forever.
Lady Jacqueline reminds us all that for one brief, shining moment, there was a president of Camelot.
You see, I needed a sustainable way for my husband to live forever. More like Abraham Lincoln, rather than other assassinated presidents like McKinley and Garfield.
Like who?
My point exactly, Edie. To make JFK Lincoln-like, in the week after Dallas, during my interview with writer Teddy White for Life magazine, I said Jack's assassination robbed America of that one shining moment of Camelot. That fantasy imagery has lasted to help secure his legacy. Now, although JFK is gone, he is not forgotten. So thanks to my forethought and vision, am I now entitled to a round of applause from our dear audience?
Might be the last night here on earth.
Live your life like tonight. Might be the last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight. Might be the last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight. Might be the last night here on earth.
Life like tonight might be the last night
Here on earth.
Take him out.
Here on earth. Your life like tonight might be the last night here on earth. Live your life like tonight might be the last night here on earth. Here on earth.
Life like tonight.
believe, we can all agree, and doth our play expounds, our 35th president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, surely came along.
This is real vodka, by the way.
Just kidding.